Good morning. It's time to get in touch. Brought to you by Geisinger Muncie and Jersey Shore. State-of-the-art healthcare close to home. Every week, this public affairs show shines a spotlight on people and programs in our communities that improve the quality of life in Lycoming County and beyond. I'm Freddi Hammer, host of In Touch and news director at Backyard Broadcasting.
Every year, the eyes of the world turn to Pennsylvania for one quirky but beloved tradition, Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney. It's a reminder that sometimes it's the small and uniquely Pennsylvania moments that make the big impact. But as familiar as Groundhog Day feels, it's a major tourism draw too, and it's just one piece of what's shaping up to be a big moment for travel across the Commonwealth this year. Joining us now for a big look at Pennsylvania tourism from Punxsutawney to the global stage, we got Kaitie Burger with us today, Executive Director of Visit PA. Hi, Kaitie. Thanks for being on In Touch today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited about Groundhog Day. It's coming up tomorrow, and so it really does draw national attention.
Honestly, it's international. You know, I'll be out in Punxsutawney in the cold with all the people bundled up. It's going to be a real chilly one this year, but It really is such a magical moment of just like you said, like weird, quirky, only Pennsylvania things that happen right here at home. For us, you know, it's a chance to kind of lean into the authenticness, kind of the lore of this yearly tradition.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have any real stakes to it, and I mean that in the best way. Like, it is meant to be fun. Nothing is serious at it. It is just a really charming moment that pops up in the middle of this field at Gobbler's Knob and Punxsutawney and kind of brings everyone together for that real wholesome thing. I also love it because it is, you know, in this world today where everyone's connected and you've got news alerts flying at you from a million different directions all the time, it is the one time where everyone is tuned in live, all eyeballs on that stage, watching for it to happen in that split second. There's nothing that spoils it, or you can get like a teaser or anything. It really is a once-in-a-year kind of opportunity there. So it's so much fun to be part of the annual tradition, and we hope that lots of people, if they can't make it out to Punxsutawney, of course, tune in. They'll be broadcast on news stations all across the country, but you can live stream it at visitpa.com as well.
We can sort of own it because here we are, very close by.
Exactly.
I love it. It is just sort of a quick morning event for the event itself, but how does Pennsylvania try to get everybody to stay a little longer? I'm thinking that as a small town, there's a lot of little iconic things that we can do all over the place over there.
There totally are. You know, everything from the Weather Discovery Museum that's right in Punxsutawney to some of the great events that happen around Groundhog Day weekend. You know, the local community theater shows the movie on a loop basically all weekend long.
Oh, cute.
There's a festival in the park downtown with musicians and local artisans and food pop-ups and all that good stuff. But then there's just so many fun little pop-ups that happen, from the annual Groundhog banquet to the dueling pianos and everything in between. But, you know, we recognize at Visit PA, too, that it's, like you said, a small town. And, you know, to get out there for folks is not always the easiest thing. So we want people to be able to be a part of the event no matter where they are physically. So that's where it comes in on, you know, us offering a live stream across our social channels on our website as well. But also serves as a great reminder, no matter if Phil sees his shadow or not, there's always so many things to do in Pennsylvania. So no matter the outcome of the morning of February 2nd, you know, we'll have itineraries and things to do and kind of lists and everything that we'll be pushing out if it's more winter or in early spring, so people can be ready to get out and explore no matter what Phil says.
I went in 2002 and I saw a man dressed as a groundhog drinking a Rolling Rock beer out of a straw.
Oh, yes, it is. I always tell people it's like a big block party, and it's so much fun. I meet people from all across the world every year when I go out there, and it's just a really, truly wholesome event, and we're so honored to be a part of it.
Are there other little towns that do fun things like this? Are there other quirky traditions around the state? What happens out there? Any other little towns that do stuff?
Oh, goodness. I feel like Pennsylvania towns they thrive on quirky little traditions.
True.
You know, I always think about all year round, like, at the holiday season, when we talk about New Year's Eve, I am 100% convinced that no state has more weird and quirky, like, New Year's Eve drops than Pennsylvania does. From the Peep in Bethlehem here where I live to a pickle in Dillsburg to Abe Lincoln's Top Hat in Gettysburg. There are so many wacky things, and we really love to lean into that quirkiness at Visit PA. But then, of course, I'm a big food person, so I think about Pittsburgh every summer, and the Mushroom Festival in Kennett Square. There's so many cool things that no matter what corner of the state you're exploring, there's plenty of things all year round to get out and experience.
Why would you say these recurring events matter just as much, if not more, than the big stuff that happens in the bigger cities?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think it really allows communities to tap into their own roots and what makes them kind of shine in the spotlight and stand out from different places. I mean, I grew up in the Williamsport area. No one else claims the Little League World Series except for Williamsport.
Right.
So being able to have some of those iconic events year after year, whether it's a quirky one or a traditional one or somewhere in between, I think it just kind of rallies the community together to have something that they own and they're proud to share with other Pennsylvanians and more broadly nationwide and internationally too.
Sure. You do have the bigger city things going on. We got the NFL draft, we got the World Cup, we got 250th anniversary in every county. So this is a big convergence and a big deal for everybody here.
It totally is. I keep telling people the ability to host one of these big events is an astronomical achievement at any year, let alone the amount of them that are all happening within a 12, 15-week span here in Pennsylvania this year. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's really a milestone for everybody. As you said, America's 250th anniversary touches all 67 counties of the state, between, fireworks celebrations on 4th of July across the Commonwealth to different historical reenactments and festivals. There are a ton of things happening statewide. One of my favorite pieces that is sponsored by the America 250 PA organization is the Bells Across PA initiative, where there will be over 100 Liberty Bell replicas that are all custom designed and painted by local artists that will be popping up and on display across the state. So we're really excited to just kind of lean into the community vibes of that program. But then, as you mentioned, it is a mega year of sports here in Pennsylvania, too. So just to give kind of like the quick rundown of it all, because it is a lot of things.
Definitely.
So mark your calendars. We start in March with the first round of March Madness in Philadelphia. We roll then into April to the NFL draft in Pittsburgh. In May, the PGA Championship will be hosted in Newtown Square in Delaware County, just outside of Philadelphia. Then, of course, the FIFA World Cup matches in June and the first week of July as well in Philadelphia. And then we round out the year with the MLB All-Star Series back in Philly, too. And then that kind of leads us right into the Little League World Series up in Williamsport. So it is a jam-packed year of big events. We're so excited, and it allows us to really put Pennsylvania on a global stage again. Even if people aren't able to attend one of the events, there'll be so many great free fan festivals and experiences surrounding the actual sporting happenings. But we also want to use it as a chance to leverage different things throughout the year, too. So it might be your introduction into something happening in the Southeast region or in the Pittsburgh region and make you want to go back and explore more at another time.
That's sure true. And, we're also close. Like, we're within 4 hours of almost everything that's going on.
In our marketing messaging, we say we're within a day's drive of 72 million people. So it really is prime physical location for Pennsylvanians directly, but also for anybody that's traveling in across the Mid-Atlantic, especially for things like FIFA that have a really long match schedule over a number of weeks. No matter if you're watching a team play in Philly or maybe heading over to MetLife Stadium in New Jersey or even up to Boston, we're really encouraging folks to use Pennsylvania as their home base to be able to easily travel to some of the other match locations as well.
Yeah, public transit. So easy to get to, especially in eastern Pennsylvania. My goodness.
Oh, my gosh. Exactly. Yeah. Hop on the Amtrak up to, New York or Boston, or even a quick flight down to Atlanta or something makes it really easy and often a lot more affordable to stay here in PA than in Manhattan or in a big urban area like Atlanta too. So
sure.
Lots of flexibility.
People are planning trips. Do you think that are we close to sold out? Are people booking early and trying to get into Pennsylvania to do many of these things?
They definitely are. Our biggest recommendation to folks is if you're interested in attending any of these big kind of mega events, that you book your travel accommodations as soon as possible. We are seeing things really start to reach capacity in terms of hotels for the NFL draft, like right in downtown Pittsburgh. But if you go a couple miles out, you've still got flexibility there. So especially for Pennsylvanians, if you're willing to just kind of have a little short drive to get to the space, you'll probably save a couple bucks, but also have a little bit more flexibility in terms of access to hotels and things like that. But there's also so many great kind of alternative accommodations, whether it's a B&B or camping. Some of our state parks are debuting glamping sites this summer. So there's a lot of great opportunities to explore kind of that non-traditional hotel accommodation route as well. But yes, definitely sooner rather than later if you're looking to attend any of the big guys.
How do you, as the executive director of Visit PA, work with the different regional areas? I know there's 11 regions. Do you sort of work with each of them?
Absolutely. We have really close partnerships with people all across the state. In tourism, the official language is a destination marketing organization, which oftentimes is like a county-based or city-based organization. So think about like your Visit Phillies, your Discover Lancasters of the world. People will probably see advertising for these organizations without really knowing what they are.
Yeah.
But we work really close with those DMOs all across the state. I think about them as really our true partners, because we as a small team on the state office certainly can't do our job without the support and input and, working in lockstep with all of those. So across the 11 tourism regions, we have 67 counties. I would say there's probably about 50 DMOs spread across the state as well. Some are county organizations, some are nonprofits. It kind of runs the gamut, but we really rely on them to be kind of like an extension of our own team, to be our boots on the ground, kind of ears out for special things that are popping up and happening across the Commonwealth. Because as much as our direct team would love to be everywhere all at once, there's only a handful of us in the office, and it's a big state to cover for a small team. So we definitely work really closely with all of those partners, whether it's for just kind of collecting information that we can help promote and amplify on social media, or working with content creators and travel journalists to kind of get their eyes out and about on the ground across the state as well. So definitely a lot of strong partnerships there.
Is there a budget that you work with or that you allow the different regions to have, or do they do fundraising? What's the bill situation? How do they pay?
That's a great question. Most of the DMOs, especially the county organizations, are funded through the hotel tax. So when you stay in a hotel room, there's a tax that's levied against the overnight cost there, and that's generally, it depends county to county what the percentage is or how it's structured, but as a general statement, that's where their funding comes from.
Okay.
Which is a great reminder to Pennsylvanians, because the work that these organizations do doesn't come from, the taxpayer dollar or things like that. It's people coming from out of town into the area to help bolster local economies. So it's always a great reminder that the work that tourism generates, the economic impact that tourism generates, helps to move the bottom line to, at the end of the day, really save Pennsylvanians when they're doing their taxes annually. I believe the number is, if the tourism industry didn't exist in Pennsylvania, each household would owe like an extra $900 and change in annual taxes a year.
Okay.
So the economic impact is really substantial statewide for sure.
That's just amazing. What's your favorite place?
Yeah.
What do you feel is under-recognized? Is there a place that you think people should see this?
Oh, my goodness. I am a lifelong Pennsylvanian. I mentioned I grew up outside Williamsport. I've lived in the Lehigh Valley for quite a number of years now. But I have been to almost all 67 counties, I think. I think I might have one or two left to check off the list. But I have favorites really all across the Commonwealth. I think about places like Knoebels that I grew up going to as a kid, and just kind of like the nostalgic energy of that amusement park. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary this year, which is just like a huge milestone in and of itself, in addition to all of the big athletic events that are happening. I think about small towns like Eaglesmere and the antique markets there that happen in the summer and the fall, and in the winter, the ice toboggan.
Oh, gosh.
Do you know about this?
Yes, it's starting up.
It is indeed, and I went and rode it last year, and it was so much fun.
That's
but
so
again,
cool.
that's a quirky, cool little Pennsylvania thing that ties back into the history that is just not like an everyday experience that people get to have. But then I also love, I'm a big fan of like small towns across the state.
Sure.
So thinking about getting out on Route 6 into little downtown areas like Kane, maybe staying at a historic inn and doing some hiking or some soft outdoor recreation, a bike ride along the trail. I'm definitely not like a big outdoorsy person. I like to call myself a little outsidey. I like a fresh air moment and a view. No strenuous activity for me usually. But yeah, every corner of the state, there's so many great gems that I am just really, really lucky to be able to do this work and help promote everything across my home state, for sure.
Well, I did get a chance to look at your bio, and so you didn't really originally plan on a tourism career, and you studied abroad, and I wonder about the arts in your world. How's it really shaped your career path?
You know, I think tourism is a funny little nuanced thing that people don't realize that they have exposure to every single day. I mentioned, like, maybe you've seen advertisements from Visit Philly or something like that, but if you see a commercial from Disney World on TV, like, that's tourism marketing. That's an attraction driving awareness and bringing visitors into a destination to help bolster the local economy. So I kind of just stumbled into the work, to be totally honest with you, and have never looked back. My first job out of college was with the Discover Lehigh Valley, which is the local destination organization here where I live, in Bethlehem, and just really loved the work, and then had a couple of transitions. I worked for an agency for a number of years that does all destination marketing for locations all across the country. And then when this opportunity became available to promote my home state, it was definitely a no-brainer to bring it back here full circle. So it's an industry I didn't know existed when I started out, but have really loved it and been able to generate some really great relationships and friends across the industry too, and the great work over the years.
That sort of answers my next question, which is how have you grown personally through your work with Pennsylvania?
Yeah, you know, I think it is just appreciating what you have.
Yeah.
I think oftentimes, and I probably felt this really intimately when I worked for the local organization here, but, you know, you'd get people, and I went to college in the Lehigh Valley here too, so that's how I ended up in this area, and all the time I hear people say, like, oh, there's nothing to do around here. Why would anyone want to live here? And oftentimes it's that, like, locals can be their own worst enemies sometimes when they're thinking about, you know, what is right in their backyard, right within a 30-minute drive from their house even. That being able to uncover that and help to educate people is just such a cool experience. And, you know, I worked closely with the college that I went to for a number of years, helping to intro first-year students and families and whatnot to all of the things that the region has to offer. And you know, I think it's a missed opportunity for people not to appreciate what they have within such a close relationship and close proximity to where they call home. And if we don't, you know, respect and enjoy those things, they won't be there. So it's really an honor to be able to do this work right here.
Is it easier now to balance the bigger picture of Pennsylvania because you've had the little experiences in the smaller places?
Totally. Especially, you know, when we were chatting earlier about having all of our destination partners across the state. Like, for me personally, I've been there. I've been in their shoes. I know how hard it is to get, you know, all of your county organizations on board or get your funding lined up, and not, you know, there are headaches, of course, that come with any kind of business like that. But I think having been in that experience and living that life for quite a number of years, it really helps me to understand now at the state level how all of the puzzle pieces fit together to form the big picture. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's the biggest America 250 thing happening in Philadelphia this year? That's going to be this 4th of July, right? And it's going to be a big event?
It will be a very big event. So there's a number of things that aren't quite publicly announced yet. So definitely stay tuned in the coming weeks. I think we'll have a couple of big things hitting the media networks pretty soon. But certainly, you know, Philadelphia always has a great show for the 4th of July. But having the 250th anniversary right where the Declaration of Independence is signed is definitely a very unique opportunity. And again, something that no other location can claim. So definitely stay tuned. You'll have some of your traditional celebrations, of course, the fireworks, the Wawa Welcome America festivities, but there'll be some big things announced in the very near future as well.
I want people to go to Lancaster and realize, oh, it was the capital for the day, because I grew up there.
Exactly, yeah.
Stuff to learn.
So many things to learn. I'm still learning every day little facts that you just don't come across on your everyday kind of journeys and everything. So it's a big state. There's a lot of things to explore, but that's what keeps it interesting day to day.
You see, there's going to be people that lived in Pennsylvania all their lives, but they don't really think of themselves as a PA tourist. But how would you convince them to go and see stuff this year? What would you say?
I think, you know, people just are always surprised at things. And, you know, we hear from followers on our social media channels all the time, like showing a new restaurant or a new resort or an attraction or a festival, like, wow, I never knew that was right here in Pennsylvania. So I think just being open and receptive and willing to step outside of your comfort zone a little bit, not being afraid to hop in the car and maybe drive to the next county over, or, you know, put your expectations aside where maybe you thought this little town was just kind of like cornfields and farmland. There's so much more to explore. So I always encourage people to just kind of like open up a little bit, stay aware of everything, and be willing to just kind of follow that line of curiosity to really just get out there and explore everything that PA has to offer.
So is there a website, Kaitie, that we can find more information about 2026 in Pennsylvania?
Absolutely. People can head to visitpa.com for all things across the state, or if you're looking specifically for all things 2026, visit pa.com/2026.
You said you're heading to Punxsutawney.
So I will be there through, of course, the big moment on Groundhog Day itself, and then have to probably head back here the next day to get out and hit some things on the southeast side of the state here, bundling up and hoping we don't have snow hit us while we're out there, too.
You're going to have to invest in hand warmers.
Oh, I have lots. Don't worry.
Perfect.
I've got all my layers bundled up and ready to go.
You're an expert, Kaitie. It's lovely to talk to you. You're the executive director of Visit PA. Good luck with the 2026 and all the fun things and directing and doing the things you do with the people that you work with. We appreciate you being here with us today on In Touch, Kaitie. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
In Touch is locally produced in our studios at 1685 4 Mile Drive in Williamsport. To get in touch with us for questions, comments, or topic ideas, call weekdays 570-323-8200 or email me at fhammer@backyardbroadcasting.com. For archived files of our In Touch shows, find our Backyard Podcasting link on any Backyard Broadcasting website, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, Backyard Broadcasting. The programming discussed here on In Touch does not necessarily reflect the feelings or opinions of the management or staff. Thanks for listening to In Touch. Brought to you by Geisinger, Muncie, and Jersey Shore. State-of-the-art healthcare close to home.